Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Right, so thanks, Kevin, for the introduction. Yeah, excellent, thanks. So I was called on short notice to come and do this presentation. So I'll be standing in for the first half on behalf of the SWPN. And thereafter, I'll just talk a little bit about Nestle. Maybe to clear the elephant in the room. Yes, we've got an evaporative plant now in Escort. Thank you very much. You'll have to send me the name of that factory manager. I'll see where he is this day and age. All right, so today I'm going to talk about, obviously, water, and it's one of my two favorite topics. The other one, obviously, being plastic. That's also all over social media at this point in time. But I don't think we should forget about water. So why do we need to focus on water? I think, having a look at this graph, we all understand what's happened in Cape Town over the last few years. I don't know when last year had a water outage at home. Every time it happens to me, I think I'd rather sit without electricity than no water. It's tough. It's tough, yeah? So, the McKinsey report was actually saying, and I think it was 2011, saying that there will be a 17% deficit versus water supply and water demand by 2030. Now, to put that into a number, they're talking about, I think it's, let's see here, 2.7 billion cubic meters of water a year. And if Wikipedia hasn't failed me, that's equivalent to one Vol dam a year. That will be short, yeah? That's a lot of water when you start thinking of it in those perspectives. So what are the risks that are facing us? And I think it's not only us at home, but also businesses are facing these risks on a daily basis, and I can attest to them as they happen to us regularly. But it's basically a growing demand. There's obviously water losses. Aging infrastructure has become a big problem for us. And what we've learned over the time is, with Nestle as well, is that you can't really make a huge impact just focusing within our factory fences. We can spend a lot of money, we can do amazing projects, but if you really want to get bang for your buck, these are the types of initiatives, the SWPN are the types of initiatives that we need to join and work collectively together going forward into the future. Water scarcity is also, it's increasing wider. You can actually see, looking at the dark purple areas on the map, where we're already facing severe water gaps across South Africa. And obviously, this is not just localized into our country as well. I mean, it extends right up into Africa. And this is what really gave rise to the SWPN value proposition. So having a look at, sorry, can I move this? Just move that out the way quickly. It's causing the back feed. So where did the SWPN start off? So it was established in response to the report released by the 2030 WRG. And you can go back and reference that report. It's called Chartering Our Water Future, the 2009 report. So in that report is where it came up with saying that we're going to have the 17% deficit by 2030. So the SWPN was therefore to support the closure of this gap. And this is done by converging stakeholders, carrying out participatory problem and opportunity analysis, and developing and implementing and scaling projects. And I think when we talk about our work groups, I'll give you some examples of how we've taken small projects and scaled them up to where we can really make that impactful hit on this water issue that we're facing. We also want to have a look at reducing demand, increasing supply, and improving water security across the country. Some of our partners, you might recognize a couple of those, that are currently with the SWPN. The key partners is obviously the Department of Water and Sanitation. And then I would like to just quickly mention the founding members, which was SASL, SAB, the 2030 WRG, Anglo, SAL 32, and then Nestle as well. So if you would like to put your banner on there, please do contact our secretariat here in front. Yeah? I'll do a little bit of punting while I'm up here. So what are our focus or key focus areas? We've really got 6 work groups that we focus on. The first one being water use efficiency and leak reduction. Nestle is the chair of this work group, and we're focusing on those non-revenue water losses. The second group is the effluence and wastewater management. So this is a municipal wastewater management and reuse opportunities, and this is chaired by Eskom. The third one is agricultural supply chain, irrigation, water use efficiency, and promotion of equitable access. And this one is really where we can make a big impact as well. I think it's about 60% of the water used in South Africa is through agriculture. This is actually chaired by the ARC, or the Agricultural Research Council. I'm going to try and stick away from this hashtag acronym, so it's terrible, yeah? And then we have the sanitation work group, which is promoting access to resilient, cost-effective, and efficient sanitation solutions. And I think in South Africa, we all know that that's still one of our main challenges. And then the water stewardship work group, and this is managed by the SOLGA. Now, cross-cutting across those pillars is the skills development and transformation work group, because we also know that we need to build up our talents of the future. This is run by Sasol, so Martin Ginster, who is also our co-chair. So let's have a quick look at some of the activities and some of the wins that we've actually had in those work groups. If we have a look at the agricultural water, and I'm just going to focus on the three for now, they implemented what we call the WAS system, or the Water Administration System. It's really basically a digital platform in how to monitor and measure water use in irrigation schemes. Yeah? I think if I believe it was put into the Volhart system first, which is one of the biggest and oldest irrigation schemes in South Africa, and it accounted for 55 million cubic litre saving per year. And this was actually further rolled out, I believe, to 207, it's been rolled out now to 21 of the 278 schemes. Yeah? And we'll be looking at how do we get this across every single scheme in South Africa. Can you imagine the impact we'll make? Yeah? The next one was the no-drop program from the water reduction and water efficiency and leak reduction work group. What this is really it's a tool that the municipality can use to also identify where their water losses, because you won't be able to make any improvements to your revenue, number one, and obviously the losses that you're having in your system if you don't know where your gaps are. It was really based on two models that were already existing. The one was called the Blue Drop, which was focusing on the quality of the drinking water, and the other report was the Green Drop, which was focusing on the quality of the effluent water being released into the rivers. Yeah? So that program was rolled out to 152 municipalities in 2014, and then going into 2015, it was rolled out to 8 metro municipalities. Yeah? So basically all the municipalities in South Africa. Fantastic tool, and really I think it added a lot of value. The last one was the Mine Water Coordinating Body, and basically this was the birth child of the effluent and wastewater management. So if you please do visit our stand, the SWPN stand out the front when you go out for your lunch, and go and get some more information on this particular work group. Yeah? So what are the, just a quick reflection on some of the achievements that we had. I think, as mentioned, the no drop across all of our municipalities is really a fantastic achievement for the SWPN. The WAS system, and that's still delivering today, and I think what we can see in the future from this potential of the system is just absolutely astounding. We have the establishment of the MWCB. We also helped develop a performance-based contract model for municipalities, so that they can easily obtain the funds from different funding houses. And then we've also last year, and congratulations to the SWPN, was awarded the 2018 P4G Partnership for Growth Award. And this is our previous program manager, Nick Tundi, receiving it. So how do we basically work? We're focusing on 4 pillars. The first one is our partnership platform. So we really want to create a platform where different partners can come together, civil society, public and private. Yeah? The second one is our communication platform. Obviously, we need to communicate about water. We need to communicate and have more members. The bigger the people working towards this common goal, the more effective it's going to be. The third one being project execution and platform. So we really want to find projects that we can scale and that we can show to municipality or to government that these are the kind of projects we should be using going forward. Yeah? And then lastly is the governance. Obviously, a very important part of it. So we have a secretariat sitting here in front of us, and this is to ensure that we are transparent and also effective. Now we are stuck. Now it's going to fly by a few slides here. I don't know why it's stuck now all of a sudden. Battery has gone flat. Let's go manual. Nope. Working now. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so we also recognize the importance of the SDGs. And you can see how our different work groups align up to particularly SDG 6, just focusing on water. So just to close off for the SWPN, We look forward to continued operation with our sectors and partners, and we hope that we'll see you down at our stand so we can give you some more information on the SWPN going forward. Yeah. Okay. So let me quickly move on to Nestle. Now, this is maybe not an example of how we mentioned in the minutes of a case study where we have public-private partnership, but it's definitely aspects of it will link in here. So we have a global program called the Caring for Water program. Now, as Nestle, we realize that our values are rooted in respect for ourselves, respect for others, and then respect for the future. And when we talk about the future, we talk about stewarding resources of the future as well. And this is not just water. Yeah? We also know that Nestle is about 153 years old globally. In South Africa, we're over 100 years old. Maybe that's when you're in the escorts area. Yeah. Just had to have a little dig, sorry. So to be around for another 100 years in South Africa, we know that we have to do the right thing. Yeah? We know that we have to steward resources, because without water, we have no raw materials to buy, we have no consumers to sell to. Yeah? Okay. So how does the principle work? We basically work on something called the water ladder. Very simple model. Down the bottom, you'll see we will move from transparent, where we start improving, and then we actually start engaging beyond the factory fence. Moving up in the sphere, we will work at a very localized level, up to our catchment levels. The 3 rungs of the ladder is talking to compliance. The first thing is obviously local compliance, and then we have the Nestle internal requirements. 9 times out of 10, our internal requirements are much more stringent than those of local, with a number of auditing programs behind this, I can tell you that. Yeah? The second tier is excellence in water resource management. So it's about positive community relations, leading water use efficiency, and knowledge about the risks and impacts and of course, the opportunities in our areas. And some examples of that is the CSV projects we do around our factories. We have internal water resource reviews for each one of our sites. We have a WASH assessments done in each one of our factories as well. So this is assessment to say what is our level of access to water and sanitation. And then we've also got Project Zero. And I'll give you a quick overview of Project Zero. This is not the be-all and end-all of everything we do, just a quick highlight. And then the final tier, and this is really the one again where I say we make the biggest impact, is the collective action. And this is working in our value chain and also in the catchment levels. And some examples there I'll show you is Project Eden, which is basically a project we've been doing in our dairy supply chain. We've also do the engagements through the SWPN. And then this year, we'll be going for an AWS hashtag acronyms. So it's Alliance for Water Stewardship certification. So that will happen towards the end of October. And that really is just a management system to make sure that you're focusing not just within your factory, but outside your factory as well, and you're engaging with stakeholders, and you get a certification against a very rigid set of requirements. So what do we know as a company? What are our challenges? So obviously water scarcity in South Africa. When we say it's Nestle ESA, there's multiple countries. I look after 23 of them. So we have the same and similar issues happening in Zimbabwe and in Kenya as well. So water scarcity and access to water is challenges. We have obviously municipal infrastructure and reliability of supply. I mean, often we'll have factories shut down for a number of days because there's no water. Yeah? If we look at the way forward, how we see things going forward is our Water Stewardship Fund, and I'll go into detail on how that works. I know a lot of you that manage budgets. It's not always easy to get money for water projects. Yeah, because water is too cheap. So we've found a way that we can sort of levy our factories to make that money available for these fantastic projects. We also support our municipalities, a number of them, in particular a lot of attention in our Harrismith municipality. And we have obviously CSV projects in our communities, and I'll give you 1 or 2 examples of that. And then we want to continue our advocacy efforts through the SWPN. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the AWS certification is very important in Mossel Bay. And once we get it right, this will probably be the first factory, not Nestle factory, the first factory in the Southern African region to achieve this, if we make it. In 2 years' time, we'll start expanding to the rest of our units as well in our water-stressed areas. So let's quickly talk to Project Zero. Now, we talked about efficiency, water resource efficiency excellence. Yeah. So last year, we were quite proud to launch officially our Project Zero, which was down in the Mossel Bay factory. How this came about in 2009, we know that there was a major drought going on in the region, in the Western Cape. And we started this in basically 3 tiers, this project in 3 tiers. And how it worked is tier number 1 was really the basic reuse models, small projects to try and reduce the amount of water that we're using in the factory. Now, I don't know how many of you know this, but it takes, according to your charts there, 1,500 liters of water to make milk. But inside milk, chocolate, huh? Milk, the last number I got for milk was 500 liters, yeah, per liter of milk from the WWF. Now, inside a liter of milk, there's 87% of it is actually water. So what did we do? We decided we would start collecting this water because we actually evaporate it to make our powdered milk products, and I'm sure many of you have enjoyed them before. When we collect this water, we put it through a reverse osmosis system, and we can reuse it for multiple applications in the site. That was completed in the middle of the project, and towards the end of the project, we then collect that water again for a second time, and we put it through an anaerobic digester. And what that really does is we have bugs that will basically eat all the pollutants in the water, and you'll get a couple of things that will come out. You'll get clean water at the end. Your little bit of effluent water that does go out is very, very good quality. We'll get energy off it in the form of biogas, which you run through a small boiler. And then obviously there's a bit of slurry from the bacteria as well, which you've actually had listed as a fertilizer. So it's just a fantastic model to say, how can we get off the grid as much as possible? And that actually ended up in a 65% reduction in water use since 2009. One thing that you must remember is when you're doing projects similar to this is that you have obviously other stakeholders involved like the municipality. Now you're taking a large chunk of possible revenue out of their pockets as well. Yeah? So this is really something that needs to be communicated widely, and everybody needs to understand the impacts of this. However, it also makes a lot more water available for the residents of the Mossel Bay or Eden municipality. Yeah? So a fantastic project for us. And I'll probably pause there, and then basically in the end of that, we were also recognized by Massmart last year by winning the Environmental Awards for 2018 on that one. Just some examples of what we do with the water. Obviously, for hygiene regions, we've got to wash our factories, we've got to wash the trucks that are coming off a dairy farm. So this water before was just town's water that was being pulled in and used. Yeah? Now we've got other applications for it, showing those above. We've also used it in our utilities in the factories, and don't worry, none of it goes back into the product. Yeah? I think you're all getting worried about that. All right. Let's quickly have a look at some of the other activities we do. Now, working beyond the factory fence, we start working with our farmers. So we've got a large contingent of dairy farmers in the Western Cape area. Now, we support them in terms of, we have an agricultural team that build their capabilities. We've released sustainable dairy handbooks, which will help them with efficiencies, not just with water, but with energy as well. We do numerous internal audits to try and identify opportunities for them where they can actually do cost savings. Because with the farmer, you talk about water and you talk about cost. You've got to tie the two together. It's never one or the other. And then we also give them basically advance payments, interest-free advance payments, so they can go and fund these projects. And it's another good reason why when you're selling it to a farmer, you must make sure that there's actually going to be some sort of financial reward for them at the end of the day, with financial sense. Then lastly, I want to talk about the water fund. Now, I used to use the word tax, but everybody hates the word tax. It seems to be a dirty word here in South Africa. So I came into my factory managers meeting one day, and I imposed a stealth tax on them. And I said to them, for every cubic meter of water that you use, I'm going to charge you 75 cents. Sounds like a small amount. However, it gives me quite a nice fund at head office level where we can have a governance structure in place, and people from all over the 23 countries can apply for this fund. But it needs to do two things. It needs to either address the issue of access to water and sanitation, or it needs to deal with water scarcity. Yeah? And the other rule is it can't be done within a factory. This is not a CapEx budget. This is to do things outside the factory. Yeah? So, just looking at off these pictures here, this school, this was Dan Klumi School in the Potchefstroom area. That field that those kids are jumping over, that is not after some rainstorm. Yeah? This is the leaks of the infrastructure at the school. It was actually in a shocking state. We went in to go and deal with wash issues that they had at the school, and we ended up saving them quite a bit of water as well. So sometimes just a small project like that can really mean a lot to the local community, and many of our employees were actually living in this area as well. So it helps their children at the end of the day and improves their lives. When we start looking at access or water scarcity issues, and this is the one we're very, very proud of. This was, again, our agricultural team in the Western Cape, working outside our factory fence in our supply chain with our dairy farmers. So what did we do? We took some of this money out, the stealth tax from the factories, we call it, and we used it to purchase DFM meters for our farmers. So in the first year, just to give you an idea what DFM meters are, it's really just a probe that goes into the soil. You'll set it up to measure the moisture content in your soil, depending on what kind of crop you're growing. Primary in this area is lucerne. And the farmers do not do this old school, I'm going to just think I must water today and think I mustn't water today. And with the old checklist and whatnot. It's actually scientific data to say, should I water or should I not? What we actually saw, the outcome of this project is three things. There was obviously a big water saving coming off the farms. We saw better carbon content in the soil. And because of that better carbon content, we're actually getting a higher yield of lucerne per hectare. So it was a threefold win for the farmers. The first year alone, in our 2 pilot farms, was a 15% saving for their water use. Now this equates to 46 Olympic swimming pools. So to give you an idea of what we want to do with the water fund is to offset all the water we use in our factories by working in our value chain or in our catchments. Yeah? And this was just one of the examples of how we can get it done. This project is now in its 3rd year. I'm not going to give you the figures now. But you can just imagine we've moved from about 44 hectares to over 250 hectares, the impact that it's having in water. Yeah. So that will continue going through into the future. And I hope you've enjoyed this couple of practical examples of how we're managing water. And that's it from me. Thank you.